Happy fucking Wednesday.
Absolutely fucking love that intro music. It gets me fired up every time I hear it. It's like, man, something cool is going to happen. I know.
Idiots are going to get drunk online.
Like I said, something cool is going to happen.
First Wednesday stream. Welcome.
First Wednesday stream. Yeah, that's cool. I hope this will be a better night. I know Mondays haven't been working out and everything else is kind of weird. So we'll see.
Brian, you sound good.
Well, thank you very
much. Nice mic.
Yeah. I rolled a bum for this down in GR.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah. So thanks for joining us tonight, Brian. Brian made a title. This is going to get confusing all night. Brian, you made a title for a show. I wasn't sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we're going to do a show. We're going to talk about running a homebrew competition. And Brian F is now officially part of our Michigan Beer Cup team. And so he's going to be joining us probably a little bit more frequently as we talk through these. Why run a homebrew competition show?
Yeah, I don't know how we'll title them. I figured tonight was one-on-one since it's the first episode, or whatever, but
no, I like it. I didn't. I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't see the title. But this works great.
Yeah, I'll title the rest more specifically around maybe what we're going to talk about. But tonight's going to be the nuts and bolts of why to run a competition, sort of before we even get into how, right? Probably.
Yeah, I think it would be good to kind of talk through some of the basics, some of the things like why do you want to run a comp, and then some of the other things to think about when you decide to run a comp. You and I recently got the opportunity to kind of set up a comp in, I don't know, like 24 hours.
A week. Yeah, maybe it was less. Yeah.
To help out a local group. And we ran through the basics of it. And, so a lot of it's fresh in our mind. And then, there's pieces and parts that Brian representing Let's Get Judgy is going to be able to help kind of talk through. We'll get into the judging and how to get them and who to get them and money and things like that he's helping us with. So, but first, I think more importantly, you just saw a big, beautiful glass of beer, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
What are you drinking?
Belgian Pale Ale.
Ooh,
it's
nice.
My homebrew. I think I had it at the meeting last Sunday, but pretty good. I wanted it to be more like a Stormcloud's Rainmaker. It's not quite as, it's really mildly Belgian, that beer is, and this is even more mildly Belgian than Rainmaker is even. So it's good, but yeah, we'll keep tweaking it. Maybe I need to email them or we can get them on the show again and hammer them about the recipe or something.
I remember hearing somebody talking about Belgian styles and how we consider a Belgian characteristic in the States. And they said if you go to Belgium and try, some of these beers, it is not the banana bomb that a lot of this stuff is. So
we Americanized it.
Yeah, I think that restraint sometimes is actually nice to let the other aspects of the beer kind of come through instead of just banana and clove all over the place, and then you're sitting there going, what the hell else is going on in here?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I'm going to feel better about myself then. All right.
There you go.
Suddenly I like this beer like 10 times more. Thank you, Brian.
That's what I'm here for. Just pump you up. I'm your hype man.
Yeah, we need the moral support in the show sometimes. So it's good.
What are you drinking, Fisher?
I'm drinking a mess of an IPA. I call it my movie time IPA. There's just enough diacetyl in there, so it goes real well with the popcorn.
Nice.
It was also my first try at an IPA, so I learned what hop creep is, and so now I've got a bunch of ALDC on the way from more beer, and
I wish I would have talked to you. I have 2 bottles of ALDC I'm not going to use. I'm bummed. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right.
It was still quite good, even with the
it
sounds like it was overwhelming.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And I mean, I was kind of happy to know, in the course of our in club competition Sunday that I wasn't the only one that came with a diacetyl bomb in their bottle. So I felt pretty comfortable.
What's kind of funny to me is like I've been, making beer for I don't know how long now, 8 years, 10 years or something like that. And I've been part of Keepers for all that time. And like in the earlier years of homebrewing, for whatever reason, I'm sure there were, and I'm sure it was all over. And maybe I just didn't know what I was tasting. But I don't feel like I ever had a lot of diacetyl in IPAs up until like 4 years ago or something like that. I don't know. Like maybe it's always been there, or maybe we're just using more hops these days, like
I
in in
think
dry
part of
hopping,
it's
or I
that.
don't know.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too. Is the dry hopping has become is a lot more different than it was 10, 15 years ago. Used to be, you'd throw, a couple ounces in for dry hop charge and that was it. Now, people are doing 15 ounces of Galaxy at 3 days 3 days into fermentation, and then two more pounds 2 days before they package and stuff like that. So I think that's probably a good reason for all of that.
It sounds like Tim agrees. I think the dry hop charges have gotten bogger, he says.
Bogger.
But bogger.
Much
bogger. Yeah,
No,
I agree.
I will say this. I am a little bummed. I spent, I think, all my kind of time and effort on Sunday doing the comp and making sure that we had enough beer to go around for everybody. And I didn't taste a single one of these.
Damn it.
Yeah. So I'm
Well, thank you
bummed.
for
And then-
helping organize that. We appreciate your sacrifice.
Oh no, I mean, but it wasn't that. And then after the comp, it was just like, oh shit, I'm fucking exhausted, and I kind of ducked out early from the club meeting. So I'm bummed I didn't get to try your popcorn. But
Well, I'll bring you a 6-pack, no problem.
Hell yeah, brother.
What do you got going, Jason?
Guinness. It's almost St. Patrick's Day, and so
Yep.
this is the time I actually feel like this is I'm it's appropriate. I'm drinking Guinness, and yeah. So excited.
We're gonna
about
crawl a little in the morning. You're gonna come out?
No, probably not.
Okay.
No, I think I have to work. It's on a Monday, and I got shit to do. Unless
That's
I
what
quit my job
PTO is
between
for.
now
You
and then.
you get paid to drink, and it's like the best feeling in the world on a Monday. I mean, come on,
I
like,
know. I just took a bunch of PTO so that I could go fishing later
That's
this
fair.
month. So
Okay,
Right on.
I'm gonna-
all right. Which still involves a lot of drinking. So
it does, or will. It should. I hope it does. Anyway.
I plan on pre-celebrating St. Patrick's this Sunday by brewing my first dry Irish stout. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
looking forward to trying that too. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Absolutely. Before we dive into it, so I'm gonna I'm doing this mainly to give myself motivation to get it finished, and not that anybody would care, but we actually have a few people watching. So I'm gonna show something real quick. I didn't tell you about it, Brian.
Keep it in your pants, man. Like nobody wants to see that.
I am setting up
and OnlyFans.
Okay, maybe people do want to see that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
a Michigan Brew store.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So I'm still playing with the logos, and I'm still picking the products that we're gonna have. But anybody that actually wants to buy something with Michigan Brews, unless you're Lee McBain, which Brian will be buying you a sweatshirt. And
Lee, if
sending
you
it to
still listen to the show, man, I
Right.
all that shit's
You
still coming to
still-
you. I promise. I
Yeah.
promise. Yeah.
So working out some of the logos. I'm gonna switch some. I gotta do some conversion to get a white one, so it shows up better on the black background. But yeah, we're gonna have some Michigan Brews swag in the next week or so.
We're not keeping the money though, right?
No, so this store allows me to set the dollar amount over what their price is, and I set it at the lowest I could. So if their price was I think 30, then I'm setting it for 30. I don't think it's 30 on this one. I haven't done that yet. But
All
I'm
proceeds
actually,
go to Sarah McLaughlin.
yeah,
And your dog.
if anything extra does come out of it, we'll find a good charity to donate to or something.
so this site will actually let you do that. It'll let you pick a charity, and anything that you do make or any price that you do set for it will actually go to that
Oh, that's pretty
nonprofit
cool.
automatically. So yeah, we'll probably do that. But I'm planning on here, man, I don't care. I'll just show you.
Or beer cup prizes.
Yeah. I guess Beer
So-
Cup could be our charity. But wherever it lets me pick the prices. I actually don't know. I'm not that good with this place.
We'll
yet.
edit out your credit card number.
Oh, was it in there?
No,
Oh,
no, I'm
that's
just
cool.
joking.
But anyway, wherever it lets me, we pick the prices. I'm setting it like at the bare minimum. So whatever the bear base cost is what we're passing on to the people. If you
Sweet.
want to wear something that says Michigan Brews on it, then I want you to get it as cheap as possible. So
I might check
there will
out those
be-
beanies if they're like knitted or something. I don't know. As long as it's not like screen printed, like on a beanie, I feel like that'd be weird.
Yeah, I know. So double sneak peek for those of you that are in keepers that are watching. David asked me about it, and he thought maybe they had some embroider options, and they don't.
Oh.
But I am still going to set up a Keepers of Craft store. We've had some pretty cool designs over the years, and so I'm asking for the artwork to go ahead and just put it out there, and people can go and purchase, and that will, and the money there would go to the club.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
cool.
cool.
So
That's
Yeah.
very cool.
we're going to set that up. I haven't officially told the officers yet, so surprise.
I
Right. There it goes. Now we got 3.
yeah,
Talking to David
Tim's
about it.
in chat, right? Yeah.
So I can get a cool Keepers of Craft like racerback tank top to wear to the gym, so that
Yes, they actually do have one of those, and
Right
some
on.
cool shorty
Sweat
shorts.
rag.
even
There
better.
there is a do-rag option. I was bummed, and I have it up, and the reason I'm looking at it is because when we were watching the intro, and you know that beer glass that Shayna so lovingly made for us
Yeah.
popped up, and I'm like, oh, can I get them to print my logo on a beer glass? No, they can't. That is the famous glass, yeah. But no, they don't have glasses. They only have mugs, coffee mugs. But anyway,
Cool, man.
so there's that. All right, competitions. So Brian with an I, and I, a few years ago, we were getting more involved with Michigan Beer Cup and decided that we wanted to help out. And the people that were running the Beer Cup kind of needed a break, and they wanted to step away from it. And then I stupidly volunteered us to just take it over. I think I probably did that for you. I don't know if I asked. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Yeah.
And anyway, we just wound up running this beer comp and kind of figuring it out as we go. And Dan and Nikki and the people that were running it were really great, and they helped us through that. But I think it's been my goal every year since we've done it to make it better than it has been before, to improve on organization, to improve on prizes and the logistics and the judging and the feedback and all of that stuff. And that's why I got excited at the end of last year when I started thinking about what we were going to do for Beer Cup this year. And that's where I said, hey, we should talk about this on the show. Like, there's a lot of good conversations that we have, and a lot of good consideration. And now, even beyond Michigan Beer Cup, I think we've either helped or given advice to, or now, as of last week, started in other comps to help out other people. And I just thought, hey, this would be a good place. You know, there's people that may be out there searching the web for how to set up and organize a beer comp, and maybe they'll stumble across our channel. So tonight, I think we're going to talk about just the basics, and then we'll get into more of the details as we dive further into the shows as we go through the year, right?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nuts and bolts tonight.
Nuts and bolts. So I think
Or
maybe what?
No, I'm like, maybe I used that phrase wrong. Wait a sec. But, I haven't even drank tonight.
I think the big thing, and I know you and I have talked about doing a second comp and a spring comp, but I think the first thing people need to consider is kind of like why, right? Why do you want to do a comp? So why, Brian, do you want to do another comp or a spring comp?
Well, for our purposes, it's going to vary, from state to state, club to club, area to area, locale to locale. Um, right now, the reason I want to do another comp in the spring is because the Master Homebrewer program does not actually have a Michigan competition in the circuit currently.
Oh, no
And
shit. I didn't know
we
that.
we've been asked to turn Beer Cup into that competition, but last year we had nearly 500 entries just from Michigan alone. And if we turn it into a MHP competition, those are going to get eaten into by 2 to 3/5 probably.
Sure.
And all of our local, homebrewers are just going to miss out on the only comp that a lot of them enter every year. And we don't want to do that.
Or you're going to have to expand it to 1,500 entries and lots of
right. Exactly. Yeah. We only barely had enough volunteers last year, who we're very, very thankful for. That'll probably be a show that we get into. But we just couldn't manage any more than 500 right now, probably. And that's part of why a lot of us in the club became BJCP judges, is so we could sort of own the sort of work that we're asking others to do too. And we want to be stewards of this volunteer work that we all really love to do and stuff. But yeah, it just wasn't feasible to ask our local entrants to maybe miss out on their only competition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
It's important. Michigan Beer Cup is, as far as I know, and I think we've said this a couple of times, it's the oldest, longest running Michigan only beer comp. It's got, we've got a huge community that supports it. We're involved in the Michigan Homebrew Festival where our award ceremony is, and we just don't want to, it's not broken. We're not going to fuck that up. So I think it would be cool for us to be able to open a spring comp or an early comp in Michigan that was open statewide. But it's, as part of it, what we'll talk about too is kind of like figuring out that timing. A lot of comps, and a great resource for this, and I'll put a link up in a minute. But one of the things to kind of think about when you're setting up a comp is when can you pull it off? And when would you want that comp to be? And a great resource is to kind of go out to the AHA calendar, and they publish everybody that's got a registered BJCP competition, and you can kind of see, and they do kind of lump up on each other. There's a lot of comps in the summer and the fall. You have NHC that happens, I think, earlier, but I don't think there's really a lot that goes on in the December, January, February timeframe.
Oh, there are.
Well, not in our area.
Oh, not okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. In our area, around the country, it may be different, but I think that's what I'm saying is it's nicer or that's a good resource to kind of go and look at and see hey, where can I fit this in realistically? There's a lot of things to think about, but that's just one of them.
You exhaust your judge pool too if you're running it too close to another comp, like the State Fair and the Michigan Beer Cup run up about it was a couple weeks apart last year.
Yeah.
I think hopefully we're going to be a little bit further apart this year, but if you have judges driving from 2, 3, 4 hours away, they're only going to want to do that once, every couple months. It's hard to ask them to do that a couple weekends in a row.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it just from a judge's perspective, it's cool to go somewhere and judge a competition, but at some point most of us have somebody else that lives at our house going, you're leaving again for what?
Yeah.
Oh, to go drink beer with your buddies again? No, I'm judging. It's different.
So that's so that kind of gets into the why. We want to do one that's open to the country, to the circuit. But we had an experience, we mentioned a couple weeks ago where we were approached by some of the members of the Sustainable Brewing Program at Kalamazoo Valley, and they wanted one more to engage the local community. They wanted to. There's been a void in Kalamazoo where Bell's homebrew competition used to sit, and they no longer do that. And so the guys at Kalamazoo Valley were like, we want to kind of bring that back, something that focuses more on the Kalamazoo clubs and this sustainable brewing program at Valley. So that was a cool one. But yeah, I mean, generally you got to have some kind of idea, some kind of engagement that you want to do or advertisement that you want to do. And you just got to make sure that you're going to engage with the right community that you're going to be able to sell those entries to, because it's all about it, right?
Right.
You got to have a beer cup, you have entries.
If you just say, I want to have a homebrew competition, but there's no like spirit behind it, there's no like theme, there's no like, whatever, like how do you get people excited? Like, oh, okay, well, it's the Kalamazoo homebrew comp, like cool, like
right.
It's got to have something, and it goes back a lot onto the competition organizers too, to sort of garner that hype and excitement and promotion. Is going to be a show that we do, I'm sure.
It's why we have Brian here. I mean,
yeah
being the hype man, which is what he's better at than us. And getting out there, getting the word out, getting money in the coffers, and then actually doing a great job being the MC when we actually do it. But yeah, he's an awesome hype man.
Hey, you want somebody to be your hype man? Just find the hyperactive kid.
Yep.
Yeah, we took over this comp basically with all the PR that we needed, so it's been very easy for Jason and I to fill up the Michigan Beer Cup competition. But this KVCC competition that we just got asked to help out with, it's IPA only right now, and it's a little bit more of a tight group of people that are allowed to participate right now. But even with that, the entries are still not where we would like them to be, I think.
Yeah.
And granted, it was really, really quick, but
we're going to expand on that next year. But yeah, we had to turn around the comp in very short order in order to kind of meet the deadline for the award ceremony that they wanted to have, to coincide with the last taps on Tuesday, which is an event that they do at the college during the semester. So yeah, it's quick. But that's a good point to bring up. Like, you got to plan this. When, once you figure out like why I want that comp, and you looked at the calendar and you say, well, this is when I think I can have the comp, then, you got to really leave yourself enough time to get out there, get the advertising in place, figure out where you're going to advertise, and then give yourself time for people to brew that beer. If you're going to say, hey, I'm going to have a lager only comp and I'm only going to give you 6 weeks to do it, you're not going to get very many entries. A lot of people like to brew for a comp. There are people like Brian that brew just mass amounts of beer and they're ready to enter any comp that comes up. But not every home brewer kind of plays in that space, or they're like, hey,
Stevens,
really
not
good
Fisher.
recipe. Yeah, Stevens.
You brew a lot.
Enough. Yeah, I get probably 5 to 6 batches a year in.
That's enough.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, this year I've gotten 0 in, not counting that, or half a one that I kind of stirred and pitched.
Yeah, we brewed. Jason and I brewed an IPA this weekend for the KVCC.
Yep, for the KVCC comp.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have entered mine, but I already know what the feedback's going to be, so
that's fair.
And I'm not going to fuck up some poor judge's Saturday morning. I mean, it's okay to do to your friends. Here, try this. It's terrible, which I did Sunday, but to do it to a perfect stranger, gosh, that's just rude.
Yeah. It is. It's nice that you are considering the judges. Of course, being a judge, I get that you're sensitive.
It definitely gives me a different perspective when entering competitions. Now it's not just, here, try this thing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think, well, we don't even have to go into that. I'll try not to get too much off topic. I know that's the kind of
that's our thing.
The meme of the show. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. But.
All right. So we talked about kind of the where, or I'm sorry, the when and the why. You want to leave yourself at least, like, ideally, 5-6 months. The way that we typically run Beer Cup is we're getting ready to start with our first posts now in March. I actually feel like we're probably a few weeks late. We should have gotten some posts out already, but it's been a crazy year. but we're not going to open up our registration, I think, until sometime in June. We're expecting our drop-offs to be in late July.
Yeah.
Or the drop-off window to end in late July. And then I think we're targeting judging around August 2nd right now. I've got to confirm that with our site. It's 1 of 2 dates, but we kind of play around Michigan Summer Beer Festival put on by the Michigan the Michigan Brewers Guild. So we got to kind of avoid their weekend because of the location that we judge at. But yeah, so we're right now we're roughly 4 months away, and I think we're right in the time. But Brian and I have been talking about it since January, and we've been meeting and kind of thinking through this. But I would say 4 or 5 months is the right time.
It's kind of crazy. I keep thinking about the competition being like so far away, but it's already like mid-March. So yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh shit, you're actually right.
Yeah, you said 4 months. I was like, damn, it just doesn't seem like that. It's like it's in summertime, and summertime is so far away.
Yeah,
I'm there with you.
But then the biggest thing I think to think about is like, okay, I'm going to do this comp. You got to figure out where you're going to have it. And there's a lot of things that kind of go into the where. If you've figured out your when, you figured out your why. When you come down to your where, it really is going to depend on the number of entries and the resources you have. One of the things I think I was most shocked about was the sheer number of people it actually takes to pull off a homebrew comp effectively. I mean, rough math, if you were to do 100 comp or 100 entry comp, you would need at the minimum 20 judges, I think, to effectively pull that off in a day. And that's expecting, so that would give you 10 judge pairs. They would each need to judge 10 beers and a flight.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's pushing them. Yeah,
that's a lot. So if you split it up, they like to get those 5 to 6 beer flights. So now you've got a morning session and an afternoon session. You want to give them a break in between. You got to remember, good effective judging probably takes 15, 20 minutes per entry. If you're getting good feedback, and then to support them, for every judge pair, or I'd say every 2 judge pairs, you need a steward, you need a cellar master, you need, the comp organizer, and just send somebody to help with the running around. So, at a minimum, like 100 beer comp, probably 30, 35 people need to be involved to pull that off effectively. And, you're lucky when you register a comp with BJCP, they do give you a list of all the judges in your area that you can email and you can reach out to, but you really got to kind of start talking to those people and start nailing them down months before. We already have. I've already messaged my head judges, and some of the higher ranked judges that we like to pull in, and I've let them know. I actually think I was letting them know back in January when we were talking dates to try to nail them down. So I know that's we're talking about the number of entries, but when you think about, if I want to have 100 entries, I'm going to need 35 people. Well, where can I do that? Do I have room for 35 people to set up, 6 or 7 tables and, store this beer in a cold environment? And, maybe your local brewery that your buddy owns might not be big enough,
Yeah.
Like we have a great relationship with Ted at Utrecht, but I don't think we could have we definitely couldn't have Michigan Beer Cup judging, at Ted's place.
Yeah.
No,
just too small.
Yeah. Logistically, there, it's just way too small for something like that. You'd have the judging tables right on top of each other.
Yep.
And trying to hold those conversations, during such, oh my God, that'd be chaos.
Well, logistically too, you got to have some place to keep 500, 1,000 bottles of beer cold too,
smaller comp.
Yeah.
All comps in general, most comps should be 2-bottle comps, which we'll talk about more probably in a later episode. But yeah, so if you got 100 entries, you got 200 bottles of beer. That's 10 cases of beer that you got to be able to keep cold. That's more than your kitchen fridge is going to hold. Like,
For sure.
I mean, and if you're trying to keep it well organized, you know, it might take up even more space than that, just by putting stuff in, you know, different boxes and things like that.
Yeah. So it's really good to think about logistics. Like I said, you're going to have this comp, you know, luckily with Valley, it's a smaller comp, you know, we're expecting like, I would be really impressed if we get 20 entries, you know, so
I'd hope for 20.
yeah. So Brewery Tray is going to be a perfect place for that. We're going to need, you know, probably I'd like to get 6 to 8 judges and, you know, 1 steward and stuff, but that's easy to organize a 20 entry comp. For Michigan Beer Cup being 500 entries and 1,000 bottles of beer, which we've got some pictures that we can put up later or post where we did our sort. We were fortunate enough to have Presidential Brewing let us come in and day off and sort in their facility. So they have a brewery that normally seats, you know, probably, I don't know, 60, 70 people. And we had like every table in the brewery filled with bottles of beers. We're sorting and organizing and, you know, entering them into the system and getting them ready for entry, you know, so we just needed this big, massive room to be able to spread out. And then for the judging itself, we use One Well's production facility. So we're using a massive warehouse where we can set up, you know, like 20 tables and, you know, they have a big walk-in cooler or drive-in cooler. The thing is huge that we can store the beer in, you know, pallets, because when you're talking 500 entries, you're talking pallets of beer, multiple pallets of bottles that you got to deal with. So just kind of a thing to think about. I think the biggest mistake that I've seen in talking to people is them overestimating the number of entries that they can handle and really understanding how many people it takes, you know, to judge a homebrew comp. Oh,
I can see where somebody gets the bright idea, hey, I want to do this, you know, and I'm sure it's happened many times, and not just with homebrew comps, but you get this idea, I want to do this thing, and you know, I've been to things like it. How hard can it be? You just get some beer and you have some people judge it and you get some medals and you have an awards ceremony and everybody's happy. And
Yeah,
it's
no.
just awesome.
Most,
you know,
most of the time everybody's gonna be pissed off. I'll say
that's good. It's not that bad.
We've helped and been a part of several other competitions where they just haven't considered all of these, or they maybe didn't consider, you know, how to judge and, you know, whether we're using queued judging or, you know, how to organize the categories. And those are some mistakes that I've seen that will, again, those are future episodes that we'll talk about when we dive into the minutia of actually setting up the competition. Right now, minutia. Is that the right word?
I don't know.
I think it is. We'll go with it.
Yeah, it's a Mexican dish. I've had it before. It's not too
bad. Delicious. Yeah. But yeah, we'll get into those more later. You get the picture up. So you
I do.
Yeah. So, you know, there's 20 tables and those picnic tables are like 10, 12 feet long and they're covered in beer. And it's a concrete floor. And if you fuck up and bump one of those tables and you just trash,
we didn't break a single bottle last year.
It was nerve-wracking though.
It was.
Times, especially those front tables there have the cider entries, and there were a lot of like
and
specialty
mead,
ciders. Yeah.
I will not be helping with sorting then because I have the grace of a giraffe on ice.
You know, so and I've said this I think before, and there may be people that listen to the show that when Dan and you know prior organizers ran the comp, you know, they used to have big sorting's a pain in the ass, and they used to have big like sorting parties almost, or they'd get multiple people to come in and they'd kind of set up this assembly line for sorting. And I appreciate that. And there were a lot of people that when we took it over that were like, hey, when can we come help sort? But that's the thing that made me the most stressed out, was getting that part right. And
yep.
I think I told everybody that, you know, that first year, I'm like, I don't want anybody to come help. I'm like, this is something that I feel like, even if I would have done it myself, like I need to touch these bottles, figure out this process, get this organized. And we did that, you know, it was like me and Brian and Shayna. Well, no, actually the first year it was me and Brian and David Jones. He came and helped us. And And I brought him, I think, because he's, you know, more meticulous even than I am. And the
David,
second
really?
year, yeah, yeah,
Huh,
I didn't
wouldn't
notice
even
that.
guess.
But we would bring, you know, and even the next time, I think we only brought in, well, then we brought in Shayna or something.
Yep.
I can't remember.
Yep.
But I'm getting, as I think we've got a better process. I've got a better process for sorting this year, which again, future episode. And I think we get through this year, and then maybe I can start feeling more comfortable about letting people in. But man, you know, you think about just a slip of paper gets wrong, or a sticker goes on wrong, and you're messing up somebody's entry, and I feel terrible. So
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was thinking as you were talking about this. It's probably one of the most important, you know, pieces of the puzzle when, as far
Yeah.
as getting it to come off, you know, with as few issues and problems as possible. And yes, many hands make light work, but at the same time, you get too many Indians in there, you know, and not enough chiefs, and to your point, you had gone through and had, you know, refined your process, figured it all out, and now you've got to hope that by
Yep.
telling someone else the process, they're going to take it to heart and say, oh, okay, so this is the process.
Yep.
And you know, everybody's different. Some people are, you know, the David Jones, who are very meticulous, and okay, this is how you want it done, then this is how we're going to do it. And then you have the other people that are like, okay, those are guidelines, and I can work with that. You know?
Yeah. And it's nothing, you know, all the people that volunteered or offered to do that, and I appreciate it. And it's nothing against any of them. This was really just me. And I think I put a post out about this. There's a post back on Michigan Brews or Michigan Beer Cup where I was like explaining why I wasn't doing it. And like, this is just really me wanting to figure out this process and
Oh, yeah,
make sure that I get it
absolutely.
right.
Yep.
And you know, we're going into our kind of third or fourth. It's like this will be our third year running the comp completely on our own, but our fourth year like really running the comp.
Right.
And I'm feeling a lot better about it. But even last year, you know, we were changing the process. We were messing shit up and, you know, having to figure it out. But that's why I think I've got a much better process going this year. So just something to think about. Like, you got to have room and you got to have a process to sort these beers. You have to have the room, organization, the space for people, judges, beers. Yeah.
So we should like briefly touch on like why the sorting is like so important too.
Yeah.
So with so many bottles of beer, you know, depending on the size of your competition, you know, 200 entry competitions, 400 bottles probably, you know, so on. That's a lot to sort through. And generally you have one person who's the cellar master that's sort of in charge of it all on the competition day. And if a steward comes back looking for, you know, particular entry number, you gotta have a system. Like, you can't spend 5 minutes for each entry trying to, you know, figure out where it's at. If there's a bottle, you know, missing, that should be accounted for ahead of the competition, you know. And there's the whole competition itself portion of it too, where you have to anonymize the beers. So you're taking all of these bottles with entrance labels on them, giving them random numbers, changing that in the Homebrew software, and then hoping for the best afterwards. Because if once you anonymize those bottles, if you're not keeping receipts, and we'll get to this in another show too, you know, you're fucked. Like, and that sucks for you as the organizer, and that really sucks for the entrant, because either their beer is going to be judged wrong or not at all, or you know, something, and they're paying you to get feedback on these beers, and it's a service, you know, essentially. So, and Keith is actually here in chat. Keith is
He's our cellar master.
yeah.
Right on.
He's amazing. And Keith just won Best in Show at Drunk Monk for mead and cider last weekend. So
Hells yeah.
Caramel apple granny cider something. Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's some sort of caramel
Congrats,
apple
man.
cider. Yeah. Congrats, Keith.
So yeah, it's it's all about kind of that attention to detail. These are items that people have paid you to do this service for, and they put a lot of time and effort and pain, either shipping, delivering, whatever it may be. And the real reason why we want to do competitions, or for me and Brian, I think anyway, is we want to give home brewers feedback so that they can become better brewers. And so, making sure that their entry is there and it's judged appropriately. That's important. I will say, little anecdote, like the very first time we were sorting, talking about kind of those receipts, I was kind of like labeling beers and going through the system and kind of chucking them in a pile. And I'm like, oh shit, like I gotta be able to undo this if I have to. Like I gotta keep those. And that was my first lesson learned. And every year we've done this, I've kept this list in my phone of lessons learned, like what not to fuck up.
Yeah. It's very long.
I think that's true for any process, though. Anything that you do. I mean, put it right back to homebrewing itself. I mean, the first time you brew beer, you go along and it's like, it turns out, and however it turns out, and you're like, oh yeah, looking back at it, looking through my notes, oh yeah, I forgot to throw the mid-boil hops in, instead of 30 minutes, I threw them in at 15 because I was too busy, reading comic books or playing with the dog or something like that. I guess I got to pay more attention to the clock, so you definitely keep that list of, like you said, lessons learned. And it's just a reminder for yourself. Hey, dummy, don't forget this.
One of my friends, the first time he brewed, just speaking of like hop additions and stuff like that, he didn't understand the concept of like when a recipe says a 60-minute addition, 30, 20, 10, and he thought that's meant how long you boil those hops for. So his 60-minute addition went in for 60 minutes, and then his 30-minute addition was then 30 minutes after that 60 minutes ended. Then his 15 minutes was 15 more minutes after that 30 minutes ended. And so he had like a, 2.5 hour boil with like big hop additions. And it was a strong ale. So I actually ended up being pretty
worked out.
Yeah. Once I aged it a little bit, but
nice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You're
muted.
So sorry, I was muted. So he boiled for 60 minutes and then added the next one and boiled for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah. Good thing that wasn't
I can see how that mistake was made.
Like a
blonde
or something.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, when you don't know the lingo, you don't know the jargon of a new thing that you're involved in.
Yep. And there's Gerald, calling out. Yeah, you make that beer, you don't take notes. I tell you, the first beer I ever brewed, I had 19 pages of notes. I wrote everything I did down. I wrote the humidity, the the sky was overcast, all this shit.
The color of my socks.
Yep. I did. I still have the notebook. I go back and laugh. Yep. It's funny, you see that first year that I brewed, especially those first few months, like massive amounts of notes, all the detail. And then you go to like last year when I brewed, and I've got like 3 lines with times on it, and the hops and the yeast I used. So it's just where I progressed to.
Yeah, I thought for sure I was going to be one of those fastidious note-taking people, because my brain is not wired for memory at all.
Nope.
And so I need those reminders and stuff, and that's one of the things I love about the brewing software is you get your reminders, your little alarms and stuff, hey, it's time for this, time for that. But yeah, my notes have gotten progressively more succinct. Brew day went well, hit all my numbers, don't know how that happened. Cool.
Yep. I'll actually go back and it's funny, I'll be like, either maybe I didn't have enough of this, or I decided the last minute I was gonna add a couple more ounces of carafa or something like that, and then I'll have to I'll remember like the next day, and I'll have to go back, like, oh shit, I forgot to make that note, like, again, just in case it's the best beer ever, and I'm like, what did I do different this time? But that's the same with the tying it back, trying to get back on topic. Same with the homebrew comp. We're doing the same thing. We're taking lots of notes and we're learning from our mistakes, which is why we're going to talk through some of those as we go through the next year. So if you're lucky enough to have found a place that is big enough to host the comp that you think that you can handle, and you've figured out, like how many entries you want. There's some other things that we're going to dive into more as we go through this season. We're going to talk about competition software, the software that's out there, BCOEM, Reggie. There's another one I can't remember. We'll talk about the pluses and minuses on those. We will get into, I just drew a blank. I was going to say registering with the BJCP, but that's kind of we can talk about that really quick.
Yeah.
But then we'll get into just, kind of metal design and what are your awards going to be? And then how are you going to pay for all of that? I will tell you this, this comp is way more fucking expensive than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm like, oh, you just need to buy medals. No, dude, you got to buy cups. Holy shit. I've said this on air before. And I know, Keith, I haven't checked with Web Restaurant Online or wherever you told me to check last time. I will. Oh no, you told me to check and see if Gordon would sponsor cups or something. Gordon Food Service.
Oh, that's a good idea. Right. I forgot about that.
But holy shit, cups cost so much money. I mean, and to do the 500 beer comp, I think, what's our cup budget, Brian? Like $500?
It's something ridiculous like that. Yeah,
it sounds about right. So quick story. A couple of weeks ago, I shot video footage for my next upcoming video, which is my first sensory evaluation video. So I had to get plastic cups. And I'm like, I'll just shoot into Dollar General and get them. They're all like cloudy plastic, and stuff. So I had to go to a grocery store down the street from where I was shooting and picked them up. And it was like a dozen of them was like $5. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's a plastic cup, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can get Gordon's to sponsor, do it.
I am gonna go into our. So I we get 9-ounce cups from Gordon Food Service that are clear. We'll get into this more when I'll actually bring the cups in and show people. You want to make sure you're getting a good plastic that's not going to smell, and it's like Fisher just said. You want it to be clear. But I want to say we're getting cases of 1,000 of them, and they're like $150, $160 a case. And then in a 500 beer comp, we're going through, I don't know, 2,000 cups pretty easily. You would think, it'd only be 1,000, but it's not, because there's Mini Boss and there's Boss and there's stewards drinking.
Stewards want to taste. Yeah. Water cups. Yeah.
Yeah. Just that alone. Yeah. Water cups as well. And
crackers.
Cups with the crackers in it. And, Yep.
Yeah. So it's not. I don't remember. It's it is. Our budget is around $500-$600 for cups. So I'm going to go into Gordon Food Service here pretty soon and see if they'd be willing to either donate some or sponsor some, or even sell us at cost or whatever it can be. I'm hoping to get some cheaper cups.
So you do it in Kalamazoo. I'll do it here in Holland and in Grand Rapids. I figure between the three cities, we should be able to cover it.
That's awesome.
Divide and conquer, baby.
And I'm sorry, Casey. I'm sorry, buddy. But hey, I hope you're tipsy because everything went well today, and best of luck to Meg, and give her our love.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, so budget. So we're going to do shows about budget, medals, prizes, sponsors. That's why Fisher's here. How to get the money to pay for all this stuff. If you're kind of doing good medals, the entry fee probably pretty closely pays for the medal. That's it. So when you think about all the other shit that you got to pay for, cups, food, paper, I'll tell you, I went and looked. I'm jumping ahead here, but the first year that we did this, I'm like, Brian, we need to get score sheets printed. And I went down to Office Depot to get I need 2,000 score sheets printed, and they're like, that'll be $592. And I was like, fuck. And so Brian and I scrambled and printed 2,000 score sheets on our home printers.
Laser printers. Yeah. My
Um,
office smelled like toner for
Yeah.
like 8 hours. Yeah.
And I'm still doing that.
I know a guy that has an office laserjet printer at the place that he works.
Oh,
and
really?
seeing as how no one that I work with watches or listens to this podcast, I know a guy.
We'll talk.
Okay.
We'll talk.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll talk.
yeah.
We might be able to work something out.
Well, last year what I did, that was the first year. Last year I actually like probably 3 months before the comp, I was just like, I'm sitting here playing a video game or doing some work, and I would like print out 50 sheets.
Yep.
I just kept a box here, and I just kept, print out some more beer sheets, throw them in the box.
The more money we save, the more money that goes towards, medals next year or
Yep.
prizes this year.
Yeah.
You know,
100% of our funds go, we end the year, all the money that we collect and all the money that we charge, we end the year with just enough money to buy the medals for next year.
I think we ended up like $200 over where we started last year.
Yeah.
Like roughly.
But
That's it.
Every year we've made the medals bigger or better.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
so that extra $200 is going to go.
Do we
into
need
the
it this
medals.
year? Yeah.
So that's our goal, right? But anyway, so budgets are a big consideration. And then, judges and finding the judges and, figuring out, the logistics for the judges, especially if you have a bigger comp. If you're going to jump in and do a 500 seat comp, now you're talking about 60 to 80 people, possibly over the course of 2 days or more. One of the things I scrambled with last year with all these judges asking us, where the hell are we going to stay, and calling hotels and, figuring shit out like that. So we'll talk about more.
I can see where it's one thing if you've got all local judges, again, smaller. Yes, we need participation medals. Damn straight.
And then the entry fee goes up by $3.
Yeah. But yeah, if you've got just local guys, it's one thing. But yeah, when for like Beer Cup, you've got judges coming from all of Southern Michigan, from both sides of the state. And
actually from several from out of state. And this year, I should say, next comp, we could be having judges coming from all over the country. We were lucky enough to meet some really interested judges. Brian and I went down and judged. Stevens and I went down and judged Indiana Brewers Cup, which is a 1,500 bottle comp and takes like 6 different days that they do judging sessions.
Well, that's just the homebrew division too. Like there's commercial.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They have a commercial. Yeah. They have a pro brewer as well. Yeah. Because I remember getting the email for it. I couldn't do it, but there's like 6 or 8 days.
Yeah, they do.
That they have marked over for that.
I think it's a 1,500 entry cap.
Yeah.
So the bottles are even more than that.
Yeah, you're right. 1,500.
I don't think they hit that last year, but still.
But close. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
But you're talking about, it was like multiple days. They're held at a fairground in these massive buildings with massive coolers, and hundreds and hundreds of volunteers. The after party, which was just like the volunteers, and which a lot of the participants volunteer, but the after party, I think, was, I don't know.
It filled up the bottom part of a sports arena, basically.
Yeah.
It was wild.
So, but we got to go down there and do that. We got to meet some judges from Florida, North Carolina. I think one guy from Texas has already emailed me. I mean, they're emailing me back, like saying, "Hey, when are your dates so I can plan this and come up?" So hopefully we'll get some more spread from that. But it's just, those are the things to consider. We'll have a whole show about kind of getting your judges, how, and we'll talk about like setting expectations for judges and stewards. Steward rules, cellar master rules, being organized. I think we can talk about digital score sheets versus paper score sheets and scanning. There's all kinds of things that go into a comp that you just don't think about. And so we'll have, probably another dozen shows over the course of the year that'll be about the homebrew competition topic. Anything else that I'm missing, Brian?
Not necessarily. Yeah, we'll cover a lot of that stuff. I am interested, for the people that are still around, though, how you feel about Wednesday. Like,
yeah,
I feel like we've had a fair more viewers tonight than usual. I'm wondering if that's just because Wednesday or because they saw Fisher was
topic.
going to be
I
on.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's my charming
Yeah,
personality.
yeah.
That's exactly
We
it.
didn't advertise this, so
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I know when I was all the years that I was in a band, it seemed like Wednesday was rehearsal night. It just seems to be that night of the week that everybody doesn't really have anything going on. So it really is a good night to plug things into.
Yep.
I don't know why we ever picked Mondays, and I think and we did that for this is our 4th year now, right?
It might be 5. I don't know.
Oh shit, this is our birthday.
Wait, today? No, we started in May.
Oh, we did? Was it March?
It was like
May
my
12th?
birthday was the first episode, I think.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
2 more
We're
months.
good. We're good. Yeah,
I was like, oh shit, I didn't get you guys anything.
yeah. we owe Lee gifts before anybody gets us anything. So,
But yeah, no, it's like I've always kind of thought that, like, why the fuck do we do this on Monday nights? But it is what it is. It's in a while. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to later in the week, midweek. And we may even there may be some topics and some things that we've talked about doing where we actually just record and publish later. It might not be live, just as the way some schedules are working out. But I am hoping to have by the end of the year have a better studio built, and maybe even Brian and I will start, or Stevens and I will start getting together in person and doing them together. It might be fun.
Oh, I thought you and I would get together and Brian would still have to go remote.
You're always welcome.
Jason is slave labor to edit our episodes now.
I haven't told them yet. But yes,
Okay.
yeah, no, I got a kid that does this for a living that I put through college, so they're going to start editing for us here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are just, I know we've been doing this for about an hour, and I know Brian's got to work later tonight. Stevens, not Fisher. But yeah, those are some of the just the basic 101 things thinking about when you have a competition. How many entries can you take? How and where can you pull this off? Why are you doing it? And do you have the judges to do it? And I'll make this just to piss people off. I would say, do you have the BJCP judges to do it?
Yeah.
Do you
Good
have
point.
the
Good point.
the regular or certified judges to do it? People go into it with good intentions. I've had friends that are brewers that have done competitions before, and if you're not, so I'm not knocking on pro brewers or professionals in the brewing industry, but if you're not really BJCP trained, you're not really aware of the level of feedback I think that you should be giving.
Yes.
And
It's not about the score,
right?
Really, necessarily. It's
right.
Yeah.
So I will say, since it doesn't happen anymore, and Larry doesn't own Bell's anymore, but like the Bell's Homebrew competition was done largely by professionals, and the feedback that we used to get was like one sentence on a little piece of paper, and it was a strip. And it, I remember submitting an amazing pumpkin beer that had won multiple medals, and I got back the feedback I got back from the brewer or employee that judged it was, I don't like pumpkin. Well, cool.
Well noted. Thank you.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Tim Wicklund this weekend got a score sheet back that described his beer as metrosexual.
Oh,
so
right on.
I need to try that metrosexual.
I am. See, and every time I hear stuff like that, I'm like, I am not trying hard enough on my score sheets.
I feel you. It said it twice on the score sheet. I think it was once in like aroma and once in overall is what he said.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that is interesting.
So
yeah, like making sure that you've got the judges that are qualified to judge a competition.
Well, and the thing is, pro brewers are pro brewers. A guy that works in a brewery, that is his job. His job isn't to judge beer. And it's kind of like an engineer designs a car, but the mechanic is the one that actually puts it together and fixes it. There's but yes, it's still frustrating as hell when you're like, dude, you do this for a living and that's the feedback I get. I don't like pumpkin. Come on.
And I've had friends that are brewers that are like, look, I do this all week long. I don't want to come in on my Saturday or my
That too.
Sunday and
So-
taste, you know.
Yeah, so
infected
that's what
beer.
you get. I don't like pumpkin. Fuck you. I'm going home.
But we also get that from BJCP judges too.
We do.
We try to
Yep.
set the standard.
Yep.
We do.
And I will also say my very first time judging, I entered a competition and signed up to steward. And I showed up and they said, hey, one of our judges can't make it. Can you judge? And I was like, no, I've been brewing for like 3 weeks, dude. And he said, we'll put you at the IPA table. You know what an IPA tastes like. So just go
Excellent.
do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure, I am positive that those score sheets just sucked. And I'm sure whoever got those sheets from O'Connor's back in 2021, 22, something like that, with my name on them, I apologize.
Nice.
I'll go check my sheets.
You know, it's funny. I've as an organizer, so in all of the main cops that we've run, that Brian and I have ran, I've always made him judge, and then I do the actual paperwork stuff, and it's because he's a better judge. He's a certified judge. He is a judge. I'm not a judge. But as the organizer, you get down there the day of, and you've got, you know, 200 more beers to judge, and you're, you know, 3 judges just dipped out because they had afternoon plans or whatever. Yeah, you're scrambling. I'll take whatever goddamn body I can get.
Oh,
to
yeah.
sit there to get these beers judged.
I totally understood. And I was like,
Right.
you know, I'm your Huckleberry. Let's do this, you know.
Right.
But
I
but
mean-
at the same time, it was like sitting down. I mean, I had zero clue. I'd never seen a score sheet before. And I'm just sitting there going, oh boy, here we go.
But I do, every time I have picked up, you know, an amateur or a non-certified, I do the best I can to pair them with the most experienced judge that I have. But I will tell you, like the first time we were doing this, we did have a couple showed up because we were posting on like Facebook, like, hey, we need judges. And this couple showed up and they're like, hey, we're here to judge. I'm like, great. Are you a home brewer? No. I'm like, oh, are you a pro brewer? No. I'm like, do you drink
Well,
beer?
they brought their kid too.
Yeah. And they're like, no, not really. I'm like, okay.
What did you think was happening?
Well,
here?
and again,
Yeah.
you know, you don't know.
But
You
God
don't
bless you for wanting to
Yeah.
help out. You know,
Yes.
that's
And we-
the cool thing.
Jason asked if he wanted a steward, right? Like,
Yeah, I tried to
let's-
slot him in
let's-
a steward. And I'm like,
let's-
hey,
yeah,
let me
ease
pull a
you in.
steward that
Yeah.
knows, you know, that's a brewer and swap a steward in, and I'll have you guys steward. And they didn't really want to do that. And I appreciate him coming out, wanting to try, but yeah, there's a limit. At least you were a home brewer and you had some
True.
familiarity.
Yeah. And I
Not to
I
knock
would
it.
say, you know, just to throw this out there. One of the things as entrants that you can do to kind of pay it back to the folks that are doing such, you know, all the hard work behind the scenes, getting the sponsors, getting the medals, doing all the things, is to volunteer and come and help
Yeah.
out in some way. Anyway,
Yep.
you don't have to judge, you don't have to steward. I'm sure that, you know, there's a million other things that you guys need done during the course of a competition
Yeah.
that somebody can do. And I think that it's just, that was part of there were a lot of different facets into why I decided to become a judge. And one of them was because I wanted to see kind of, you know, get that peek behind the curtain as to how things work. But I also wanted to have a chance to pay back what has been given to me.
Hell yeah.
And so I think that's an important thing for people
No, it
to
is
consider
absolutely.
as well.
I think it's the same for me. You know, like I started brewing and I fell in love with competitions and getting that feedback, and I use that feedback to make my beer better. And then I just was like, hey, I really want to make this successful, so I want to help and I want to
Right.
do more. And
Yep.
watch it, Brian, or you'll wind up running a competition.
Well, and when I was talking with you last summer about the competition, and you had said something about no one had really been able to come up with any helpful input on breweries for helping for sponsorship. And this was what, a month before the awards or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn, I felt so bad because I probably did what everybody else did. Well, I don't really know anybody, so somebody else will jump in and do this. So it's cool. And I don't remember if I've said this to you guys or not, but I believe in Michigan Beer Cup, but more importantly, I believe in you guys. So I am on board to help out and make this make this as cool as it can be.
I will say that I did. I made a comment. I said, we put it out there to the breweries to try to get some donations, and nobody really came through. And Brian Fisher said, fuck that. Threw down, went out in the course of like 2 weeks and got us $1,000 or some shit. It was stupid. Like you went out and hit the streets, had the beers, and brung in a ton of money. So we do appreciate you. And
we're gonna hit it harder this year. So
fuck yeah.
We're gonna get
lots of prizes,
1,500
cool
this year.
Yeah, and that's just it. All this money that we raised going back into prizes.
Yep.
Last year the first year we did it, we were able to do gift certificates to gold medals. The second year we were able to do every medal got something. So gold medal got 50, silver got 30, 10 got a free entry in this year. And then on top of that, we still had raffles and gave out prizes, and we're gonna build on that and get it back up. I remember when I first joined or started brewing and started participating in Michigan Beer Cup, I'd won medals, and I came home with like beer guns and kettles, and I just won all kinds of shit, and it was cool. And it like got me pumped up, and that's what
got me like really pumped. Like you came back from Beer Cup to a keepers meeting, and you were like, I have all this shit, like it's too much for me. And you gave away like Star Sand bottles and PBW, and you're like, I also got like this beer gun at home, and like like all the shit. Like,
by the way,
like $200. Like,
I got the beer gun. I won the beer gun, of course, 2 weeks after I bought a beer gun. So
that's the way it always goes.
I'm like, who needs a beer gun? And then I think I got regulators, and we got regulators this year. Last year, we got Micromatic donated.
That was my very first prize. Was a 3-way secondary regulator. Those things are expensive.
It's on your trash can.
It's on the back of my my portable jockey box thing now. Like, awesome.
So what's this, Don? Thanks for watching, Don. 2017, he was reluctantly asked to judge wood age beers at 10 a.m. with Fred.
Buzzed by noon, no doubt. Yeah.
So I will say this, man. Last year, I started to do that, and I think it was Gail told me, like, why do you have all these big beers? Like it's like breakfast and imperial stouts. And so we did kind of try to like move that shit later in the afternoon, but it's like you're fucked either way. You got
At least we're gonna offer our judges like a little bit of something in their stomach first. We're gonna try.
Hey, it's not day drinking if there's a score sheet involved. That's my motto.
Oh man, okay.
There you go.
It's gonna be the new beer cup like model. We'll put that on our website or something.
But anyway, guys, this is I think there's a lot more topics to dive into. We're gonna start future episodes. Like I said, we'll talk about one thing. We're gonna come back with Brian Fisher and talk about sponsors and fundraising, and you're welcome to join us on any of these, of course. But then I know Brian and I'll dig into BCOEM and Reggie and kind of the inner workings of that. And we can probably do like 3 episodes on how to organize, sort tables, build your flights, figure out which judges should and shouldn't judge, work around judge preferences. And I hope Annie listens to this someday. I always put Annie. Annie is an amazing judge. She's really like a mead and cider judge, more of a mead judge. And I always throw her on some crazy beer because it's like, I just fucking need a beer judge, Annie. Just do it.
I got to judge mead with her last year, and that was a lot of fun. She is an awesome mead judge.
Yes,
so I would love to. Yeah, I would love to do like experimental with Annie. That'd be fun.
No, it's the same way. Like Annie's a mead judge and her husband's a beer judge, and I'm always like, come on, Jeff, judge mead for me. He's like, no, you're killing my stomach. And Annie's like, I shouldn't judge beer. And I'm like, I just need judges.
And they always do a great job.
They always do it. They
They
always
do.
come through for
They're
me.
awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll cover a lot of good topics. There's a lot of fun. We've met a lot of good people. We built some amazing relationships, and Michigan has one of the most amazing beer comp homebrew communities out there. So looking forward to this year.
I like Gerald's idea.
Oh, cookies.
Cookie
Yeah.
style? Yeah.
We need to hijack some, or we'll probably get our knees kneecapped by some Girl
Right,
Scout.
yeah. Oh yeah, because it is Girl Scout season,
Yeah.
isn't it?
We've
coming
seen them
up.
out here already. Yeah.
We're coming up.
They were out
soon,
in the
yeah.
snow like 3 weeks ago around here. I was like, dang, like,
Jeez.
just at a table. But yeah, all right. We'll try to do one of these styles like at least once a month, and we'll hopefully
Yeah.
be back more often with other episodes. And
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Thanks
Brian,
for tuning in tonight.
F.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks,
for
Brian.
joining us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Had a great time as always.
Cheers.
And
Stick around after Brian.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so and if you guys have any questions or you think of anything, or if you know of a brewery that would want to give us money, leave us a comment, send us a message, and we'll be happy to hit them up. And then yeah, keep your eyes out for the Michigan Brew Swag Store coming soon.
Yeah, I'll show up on their doorstep going, "You got my money, man? You
Yeah,
got my money? Where's my money, man?"
All right. Cheers, fellas.
Thank y'all. Cheers.
Take care.